Hello everybody! Welcome to the presentation of my major project. My name is Miguel Iglesias. I'm a 27-year-old master's student at Falmouth University, originally from Galicia, Spain. However, in 2015, I decided to move overseas. Since then, I live in England, Canary Island, and I'm currently based in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia and one of the youngest capitals in Europe. I work here as an account manager for Amazon. I work in the Amazon Media Group, and my hobbies are traveling and exploring the advertising landscape. When I finished my bachelor's on accounting and finance, my interest in advertising was significant, so I decided to study advertising and marketing at Falmouth University, which provided me the educational knowledge my job was going to require. At Amazon, I can utilize my potential while managing display advertising accounts, analyzing performance, providing results, and improving internal processes. The connection of work and studies has helped me to succeed during these last 2 years, professionally and academically. So let's move on now to the presentation.
The project that I'm presenting today, 17th of August 2018, is about impression management and cultural differences in the digital era. Let's begin by the introduction. First of all, it is important to understand what impression management means. Impression management is a conscious or subconscious process whereby someone tries to influence the observations and opinions of others about something. In a typical impression management process within a business, a manager might attempt to regulate and control information interactions with staff or the general public to give them the most favorable impression about their company and its objectives. Social media and online networks have become an important part of our social lives. Before starting this project, I didn't know the existence of the word impression management and its importance in a digital era. Despite the relevancy of this word, I discovered that I wasn't the only one who didn't know about it. Most of my colleagues at work or university had never heard about it. Therefore, I decided to develop a research on this topic. The importance of creating a positive reputation on these platforms is significant and has become subject of numerous studies. The organization seeks to comprehend how social media users understand its power in impression management, how users interact, and how they create control over the impression. Turning our attention now to the next slide. The charter graph shows the number of social media users worldwide from 2010 to 2016, with projections until 2021. As we can see, in 2019, it's estimated that there will be around 2.77 billion social media users around the globe, up from 2.46 billion that were in 2017. Social networks, since their creation, have been gaining space within millions of people around the globe. Every day, a large part of the world's population is online, which is why companies have decided to increase their investments in social network marketing. At the core of this research is the overall question of how social media is used by individuals to manage impressions for the real and imagined audiences and connections. While at a general level, some countries became culturally closer because of globalization and mass communication, these actions have also driven the presence of media to a saturated level of interaction. Everyone has a social media presence of one kind or another. The purpose of this research is to investigate the connection between impression management and media tools and the cultural differences, so one can further see how social media users understand and act on social media. Now that we've seen the introduction, it's time to speak about the literature review. Erving Goffman is one of the most influential sociologists of the 20th century, considered by many researchers the father of impression management. The term was first conceptualized by Goffman in 1959. According to him, the perception of others socially influences human behaviors. Goffman stated that when an individual enters the presence of others, they will seek to acquire information about him. Therefore, when an individual is in the immediate presence of others, his activity will have a promissory character to make a better impression. People often expect a positive reaction for their behaviors, and they try to act accordingly. Hogan, in 2010, used Goffman theory to link it with social media. The idea of how people wanted to present themselves in the desired version is also related to how they use social media. What the users choose to share is related to who will see it. Impression management plays an important role in interpersonal behavior. According to Larry and Kowalski, there are two key processes in impression management. The first one is impression motivation, and the second one is impression construction. Larry and Kowalski define impression motivation as the desire of creating a particular impression in others' minds. This is still applicable in terms of today's social media usage. People use social media to create the desired version of themselves on their followers' mind. This can be considered as the impression management motivation for social media users. Arranging the social media profile in a way to impress people and changing it constantly is connected to impression construction. This leads me now to the next point of the literature review. Concerning online impression management, Berkelar's quantitative analysis revealed the four primary online impression management types: acceptor, dissident, scrubber, and strategist. The four types are primarily differentiated based on people's relatively fixed or relatively flexible implicit theories about information, technology, visibility, and identity, and whether people take passive, reactive, or active approaches to online impression management. The way humans think is conditioned by their background, the culture, and the habitat. Consequently, the way users apply impression management on social media is also conditioned by these three elements. Chapman and Lahabs in 2008 compared Western and Eastern social media users. Their studies revealed that Western users tend to be more individualistic, valuing themselves over friends or relatives, posting personal blogs or selfies, and having a larger number of friends on social media. On the other hand, Eastern users tend to be less open to self-disclosure, sharing with a lesser number of friends and engaging on more enduring friendships. Abeli and Rowe in 2011 further examined cultural differences on social media and support that social media use or behavior is clearly influenced by the cultural background. In summary, notwithstanding the fact that prior studies established substantial strengths, these studies showed limitations in their approaches. The research in this study aims to investigate impression management techniques in a digital era for European communication professionals. The objectives of this study are to identify how social media users understand and use social media for impression management of their personal brand image, to understand how communication professionals attempt to control their impression management on selected social media platforms, to explore potential cultural differences between social media users from a range of nationalities, and to gain insight into the consequences and evaluation of social media usage for impression management. This leads us now to the next part of the project, the methodology. In order to complement the secondary research with primary research, this text focused on and conducted two qualitative studies. The literature alone cannot answer the purpose of the study, nor the objectives, which go into further detail as answers and supportive evidence solving the research problem. Qualitative tools provide insights from small groups of people to develop hypotheses and ideas profound in depth. Study 1 consisted of gathering first-hand data by conducting a semi-structured interview. The participants were 5 individuals from 5 different nationalities, aged between 25 and 34 years old. These individuals were selected among other peers based on nationality, background, and the use of social media platforms. The 5 individuals signed the form, giving his or her consent to participate in the interview and to use a transcript of the recordings. Study 2 consisted of the creation of a questionnaire through the cloud-based survey software SurveyMonkey. The survey consisted of a consent introduction to explain the purpose of the survey and the anonymous nature of it, 9 structured questions, and 1 structured question at the end. The 9 structured questions were related to age, gender, cultural background, occupation, social media use, and impression management. The unstructured question was related to cultural differences, asking the respondents to write a few words about the differences seen on other countries visited. The 10th question was allocated at the end of the questionnaire for best practices purposes. Thanks to this, strategy, the researcher was able to collect 72 open answers regarding cultural differences. Moving forward, I would like to discuss the combination, the limits, and the objectives. The combination of qualitative and quantitative research helps to validate and corroborate the results obtained. When a research seeks to find different approaches and clarify unexpected findings or possible contradictions, surveys can give a lot of information and many different points of view, but interviews can demonstrate them with insights and examples. By using both methods, the research can achieve a deeper level of insight through the exploratory nature of the research in addition to statistically evidence to support your design decisions. It is important to note that due to geographical limits, the 5 interviews provided answers from users living in Europe, but the survey was able to collect answers from all the parts of the world. Objectives are to identify how participants understand impression management and understand how participants are controlling the impression and its management via social networks. From this point, communication has cultural dimension, and communication tool of social media must be explored with regard to cultural differences. Here, the research aim is answered in supporting insight for the participant experiences as valuable of control of the impression management. Now, let's move on to the next area of interest, the survey findings. The survey was shared through Facebook expat groups and gathered answers from 200 participants. Regarding the age, 110 participants, or 50% of them, are between the ages of 25 and 34 years old. I wanted to capture this age group because present trends consider how these individuals show characteristics and behaviors drastically different from the previous generation. How this age group works with others and relies upon technology for social interaction remains most important. This group started seeing the internet evolution when they were a child. They lived the creation of Facebook and other social networks, experienced it since the beginning. This age group belongs to the millennials group of population aged between 18 and 35. But because of their maturity and working experience, they can give us more insights than the under 25 users. So this age group is selected. As you can clearly see in this chart, regarding the social media platforms used, the survey was primarily sent through Facebook, so 98% of the participants are Facebook users. Facebook is followed by WhatsApp with 80%, Instagram with 60%, and the lowest percentage of users is Snapchat with only 9%. As an unexpected outcome, some participants identified dating apps as other social networks. So let's now speak about the cultural topic and impressions. The cultural identity question gathered participants from all over the world. Western Europeans, 51%, Eastern Europeans, 23%, Africans 7%, North Americans 7%, South Americans 4%, Western Asians 3%, Eastern Asians 2%, and Oceanians 1%. 6 individuals prefer not to answer this question, and they were not included in the sample. As you can see in this chart, the majority of the participants believe they only make a general impression upon the user of the content. Brands might have the desire to create content that targets diverse populations of consumers. By including all different types of culture, the brand can have a stronger global presence. There is an advantage with the control of impressions for the consumer in terms of how to design the content for his or her use on the social media. As a summary of the open question, the answers compare the different cultures writing the following premises. North Americans like to share their daily life by posting excessively compared to other cultures. They like to post every event that happens in their lives and also see others' daily lives. Facebook seems to be really popular in South America, and they claim to post more than other cultures. As an unexpected outcome, one user analyzed the difficulties of Cubans to have access to internet in their country. Eastern Asians note that some countries have banned Facebook and that they also post excessively, and a big part of content are selfies. Western Asians claim that women in some countries do not share any content, and Instagram and Snapchat are trendy, whereas Facebook became old-fashioned. Western European countries like UK are more addicted to social media than other EU countries like France, where they are more concerned about privacy. Eastern Europeans are less active on social media than Western Europeans, and most of the posts are created by women. Africans see social media as a waste of time and invasion of privacy. However, a small percentage of them gets connected every day. And lastly, Australians feel identified with North Americans' daily posting behaviors. Now that we've seen the survey findings, it's time to move on to the interview findings. The interviews consisted on 15 qualitative questions regarding the background, interest, social media use, impression management, and the cultural differences on social networking. Pseudonyms are used throughout to anonymize the participants. The first question asked them to introduce themselves and gather the following information. Participant 1, Alvaro, is an Argentinian male with academic formation on linguistics and cultural management. He currently works in advertising. Participant 2, Fabio, is an Italian male with engineering academic formation. He currently works in finance. Participant 3, Florian, is a French female with academic formation on communication and marketing. She currently works for a big company. Participant 4, Irem, is a Turkish female with academic formation on engineering and finance. She currently works in finance for a big company. Participant 5, Javier, is a Spanish male with academic formation on English and Spanish languages. He is currently a Spanish teacher and taxation specialist for a big company. When identifying their use of social media for impression management, all of the participants agreed that their use of social media is mainly for communications and reposting. They rarely share their personal opinions and they follow general topics like food, sports, or music. Moving on to the next slide, we'll speak about their understanding of how to use each platform, the power and impact of impressions on them, and their actions towards impressions. They try to think twice before posting, and they post differently depending on the platform. As a summary, they agree that Facebook is normally a place for sharing opinions, Instagram is a platform for posting pictures about traveling, food, and other topics, but free of discussions or opinions, and they only use LinkedIn while looking for a job. Therefore, their activity on these three main networks is strictly respectful to this statement. They would not start a discussion on Instagram or post about daily life on LinkedIn, for example. As Florian says, I will not post the same information on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn or Viadeo. If I do it, it's a big mistake. The participants showed a clear understanding of the use of each platform and the fact that doing bad impression management will reflect in their lives and have consequences. As much as Irem doesn't use social media that often, she does acknowledge how powerful a tool remains in allowing the individual a resource and a window into the world. Someone can determine if they like another person simply based on a post. The participants stated that they try not to judge other users based on their posts, but unconsciously they do it sometimes. They all agreed that impressions they make about other users can be affected by personal opinions or especially the amount of posts. As Aaron commented, if they post too much, I would think they have a boring life. And if it's basically pictures of them, I will think they have no self-esteem. The other participants agreed that they normally stop to follow users who present this type of behaviors. Now that we have a clear understanding of the project, we can move on to the conclusions. 1. Can identify how social media users understand and use social media for impression management of their personal brand image, thanks to the examples provided in the investigation. The interviewed participants demonstrated awareness of the effects of impression management on their accounts and how to prevent bad impressions. The use of social media carries an enormous power over many people in their ways. One of the aims is to gain insight into the consequences and evaluation of social media usage for impression management. The participants stated the importance that impression social media content makes upon all users or consumers. 69% of the survey participants indicated that they make general impressions, and the interviewees confirmed that. Based on these impressions, they take action and they stop following accounts. But let's go back to the cultural topic. Significant cultural differences towards the connection of impression management and social media have been analyzed. Survey participants have provided a range of important differences among different cultures worldwide. The interviewees dived deep and identified several differences among European countries. The most relevant difference relates to social surveillance. The interviewees stated that French users prefer not to share their opinions, whilst Spanish, Greeks, or Italians like to discuss complex matters, feeling free to get involved into political debates. I would like now to turn your attention to the next topic, the unexpected outcomes. From the surveys and interviews, I would like to highlight some of the unexpected facts. One participant commented on the 10th question of the survey that there was no Wi-Fi in Cuba. I did a bit research on the internet and I discovered that this is not true. However, it seems that the access to the internet on Cuba is very limited and the prices are really high. 1 hour of mobile internet can cost up to €1. This obviously affects the internet communications of the full country and lowers their presence on social media. Another interesting topic was the fact that some people identified dating apps as social media networks. When I started this project, I didn't consider any dating app for the research. This decision was taken considering that dating apps are based on private communications and no postings. However, dating apps are including new features like sharing new pictures on a wall and connecting the apps to Facebook or Instagram. Therefore, apps like Tinder or Badoo should be considered social networks too. One of the most interesting facts that was unexpected was the difference on social surveillance in France. As many participants stated, French users do not usually get involved into discussions on social media. They do not normally participate into political debates, and they think twice before posting. This was a highlight as neighbor countries like Spain, UK, or Italy do like to discuss on social media, and they are less aware of the consequences that this can cause. And the next interesting topic of the presentation is the future potential research studies. It is important to acknowledge that this is a small-scale research project limited to a small, manageable, and realistic set of data. The findings analyzed in this study provide a natural guide to future research. A potential future research will demand more resources to comply with higher requirements. The ability to interview a larger group of people from different backgrounds and living outside of Europe. Survey platforms will require the creation of premium accounts and payment of fees. This will eliminate survey limitation blockers and facilitate the use of formulas. Finally, in-depth exploration and running tests with the participants, impacting them with different types of votes and analyzing the reactions and feedbacks will conclude further research addressing issues and generating standards and recommendations. Now that we have seen the future potential research studies, it's time to move on to the career progression. The knowledge acquired during my studies and the development of the master project has helped me to improve professionally. I have gained insights about the cultural differences, and this has made me become more aware about the impact that this has on our globalized world. My knowledge about the advertising industry was really basic before starting the masters, and now I can see that I have a comprehensive view of this sector. Apart from this, my analytical skills have been constantly improved while I was working on the major project. My future career plans are to become a team leader in Amazon Media Group. Thanks to the knowledge acquired on these masters and the experience gained at work, I can confirm that I am already moving forward to the next stage of my career. And last but not least, let's speak about the important takeaways of the masters. As mentioned of the last slide, this course has helped me to become more experienced in several skills. However, I would like to highlight three important takeaways. My English written skills have been clearly improved during these 2 years. same as my presentation skills, which have also helped me to deliver better presentations at Amazon. I have become a team working expertise. At my job, I work with teams from all over Europe. Working on presentations remotely with other classmates helped me to gain confidence on projects driven by other countries. In conclusion, the most important takeaway from these masters is the fact that I have become a better professional. During my studies, I have been promoted at work and I gained more responsibilities. Being able to answer these responsibilities and at the same time successful at my studies has demonstrated me that I have become a skilled professional who can deal with stressful situations, provide good results, and learn from the experience. Concluding what has been said before, one can say that Miguel, that started the course, was a recent graduate, and the new Miguel is a highly skilled professional in the advertising world. Well, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope you liked it. And I would also like to thank my family, friends, and colleagues, and my tutor, and everyone that was involved on this project for all the support provided and help. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.